Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Sharon Bonney. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the Coalition on Adult Basic Education, and I'm delighted to welcome you to day 4 of National Apprenticeship Week. And today we have a very exciting session for you, and this is going to be led by our very own Correctional Education Chair, Dr. Danielle Cox, and she has a wonderful lineup of presenters who will be sharing on this really groundbreaking pre-apprenticeship apprenticeship program that they have behind the walls. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Danielle. Thank you so much.
Sharon, you're giving me a professional raise there with the doctor. Almost. Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 4. Yes, as the COABE, on the board of COABE, as the chair of the Correctional Education Committee. But in my day job, I also work for the Maryland Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services as the Director of Education for our prisons. And I brought with us one of our amazing partners, Vehicles for Change, that has been doing some great work with us over the past 15 so years. And then we have like Sharon mentioned, a groundbreaking thing that we just started this past year. So Geoff, I'll let you take it away and talk a little bit about Vehicles for Change.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be able to talk to you about our wonderful partnership with MCIW and talking to you about our state-of-the-art technology. My name is Geoff Crawford. My title by day is Vice President of Virtual Reality, but all that simply means is I have the honor and the privilege of taking this vision that our president had, Marty Schwartz, at our nonprofit, and really growing it into a reality. So instead of hearing this raspy voice talk, I have a video to show you the kind of what our organization's done in the last 25 years. In the video, it says 23 years. This was done 2 years ago, but it kind of paints the picture as to what we are. It kind of paints the picture as to how we started to create this partnership and alliance with MCIW. So without further ado, we'll show you that video.
Vehicles for Change is proud to be the nation's largest affordable car ownership program. This organization not only sells vehicles at great rates, but they are also helping to combat poverty by providing reliable and low-cost vehicles to eligible families. We had a chat with Martin Schwartz, Vehicles for Change president, on the expo floor. Let's hear what he had to say.
Vehicles for Change is a 23-year-old nonprofit in Baltimore, Maryland. Originally, we were set up to address the issue that people living in poverty have in getting to and from employment. The major barrier for them is transportation. So we designed a program where we take donated cars, we repair them, and then we identify families who need a car through partner agencies. So we work with domestic violence shelters and job training programs, etc. And we provide them a car. They buy a car for $950. We provide them with a 12-month loan and a 6-month warranty so that we make sure the car stays on the road while they're getting back on their feet, and they establish credit while they're paying for their car. All our cars, for the most part, get donated from the general public. We do get some from dealerships and some local garages that donate cars. They come into our program. In 2016, we launched what we call the Full Circle Auto Repair and Training Center, where we train individuals, mostly who are coming directly out of incarceration, to be auto mechanics. So they work on these cars while we're getting them ready for families while they're training. So they spend 90 minutes in the classroom studying for ASE exams and 6.5 hours a day working on cars. And then we award the car to the family at our facility in Baltimore. So we actually have 4 facilities in Maryland. 3 of them are just training programs, and our facility in Halethorpe is where we award cars, we bring in all our car donations, and we do the car repairs right there. We've been very lucky in creating a partnership with the National Automobile Dealers Association. We actually found out that we actually hit 3 of their 4 pillars for their foundation. So we're really excited to be a partner of theirs. I believe they're almost as excited to have us as a partner. You know, one of their biggest issues is they can't find technicians. So we've recently developed a virtual reality auto technician training program where we can now put a training program in any high school, in any prison, in any workforce development or community college across the country for a fraction of what it would cost to actually put a live training program there. And the training program right now will take you through how to use a lift, how to do an oil change, a brake job, and use a tire machine and balancer. Eventually, we'll be adding additional modules so we can really take somebody through the entire process of auto repair. I think the big thing to know about Vehicles for Change is that we're changing lives. Getting a car isn't just an impact on your ability to get to work, but you can now take your children to after-school activities, to daycare. You can get to a grocery store. In impoverished neighborhoods, there are no grocery stores. You have to take a bus or some way to get there. Having a car is really transformational for the family. And on the other end of it, working with individuals coming out of incarceration, we just need to give people coming out of prison an opportunity and a chance to make a living wage where they can grow into a career, and we'll reduce the recidivism rate significantly across this country, and at the same time reduce cost for taxpayers because it costs us $50,000 a year to incarcerate somebody. Now they're working, they're paying taxes, they're taking care of their family, reducing crime. So Vehicles for Change has the blueprint to make this happen, and we want to expand this to 20 locations across the country. We now take car donations across the country, so if somebody has a car that they want to donate, we can pick it up anywhere in the country with our partners. A lot of those cars will go to auction because they're not in good enough shape to award to a family, but we need those funds to support the organization. That's a big piece of the way we support the program. So if you have a car, if your listeners have a car to get rid of, please reach out to us at vehiclesforchange.org. You can donate right on our webpage. If you're interested in get a program in your neighborhood, you can reach out to us that way too. We'd love to talk to you.
Vehicles.
So I want to kind of move into getting into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. We do have a couple other like testimonial videos, some other things to show you from women who are actually in the program and some others. So I'm excited to get to that. But first off, what we did, we took that partnership that we've had for so long, and Marty Swartz and Geoff came to me and said, hey, we've got this new program. It's a virtual reality program that offers modules towards ASE, Automotive Service Excellence training, and certification for auto lube technician. And the first thing I thought of was, oh Lord, is my prison going to even allow this? But the great thing about it is that, when we started off with the pilot, we did it without any internet connection. So we were able to, at first we tried hotspots, there were some challenges there, but whenever we were able to finally decide, okay, we can do this without internet to start until we get that Wi-Fi up and running. And Geoff will talk to you a little bit how that works with those headsets and the partnership with Meta. But we decided to do it at our women's facility for two reasons. One, our men have access to a lot of CTE, career technical education, hands-on training opportunities that are given to them through our partnership with the Maryland Department of Labor that provides those pre-apprenticeship programs. However, our women do not. And that's one thing that they had been talking about forever in surveys. Every time I survey them, we need something that is going to prepare us for real life jobs other than a typing class. We need something, and I asked them, what about auto lube or auto technician? And they were excited about it. We actually have we're in our fourth cohort since 2020, early 2023. So almost 2 years now. And there continues to be a wait list all the time for that. Geoff, I want to let you go ahead and kind of introduce our next a little bit about that and how we train the officers and what is there even training involved with that?
Absolutely. So when you sign on with us, what we do is we basically, it's not really a training. It's more just educating a facilitator. We're basically training the trainer. But this is designed to be a self-taught kind of certification pathway. We'll talk a lot more about that in depth, but it is a simple way, and depending on the amount of hours that you can commit, it depends on the structure of how many weeks it would take for you to be able to do that. But what I want to do, address about this particular situation is having this ability to train so many people at one time in one common section is a way that we can expedite the number of people we train. Because the reason why we created this was our customer base to say, hey, look, there's going to be such a shortage of mechanics, and there's a real business case for that. Prior to this, I worked 25 years at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and I saw firsthand the need for auto mechanics in the shortage of mechanics. But it's skilled labor across the board, and virtual reality is going to be the way that all skilled trades are going to be developed. So we're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit with that, with our nonprofit. But having these kind of partnerships, so it was a business case, right? And Danielle was kind of speaking to that, what some of those challenges were, is really, let's find some, not only were there not equal things that were reputable at the women's facility versus the men's facility, but just equal opportunity for not only for things to be connected. And so we want to kind of show you a video that kind of shows you what the business case is, why the VR is going to give you a little taste of what our virtual reality solution looks like, and kind of explain to you that whole business model. So we'll play that video for you now.
Generational poverty and high recidivism continue to cripple our communities at alarming rates. We are working to transform this with Vehicles for Change, a 25-year-old nonprofit that helps folks gain opportunities for higher paying jobs through access to transportation and training programs. 11.5% of the population is in poverty, and this percentage rises to between 17 to 25% in various BIPOC communities. The national recidivism rate is 82%. These statistics show the dire situation in our community. A key problem is that folks living in this financial environment struggle to access certification/skills training, transportation, and as a result, well-paying employment. The auto industry sees tens of thousands of job openings go unfilled each year. Technicians are retiring faster than new technicians are getting trained. Our goal is to empower impoverished and disenfranchised people to become nationally certified auto technicians, a high-paying career with the most undersupplied certification nationwide. This is why we created VFC VR, the instructional mode of the future, a cutting-edge virtual reality training program. Our state-of-the-art immersive technology is powered by Meta and HTX Labs, the same folks that the United States Air Force uses for their training program. We look forward to growing our VR automotive training program to implement in any high school, correctional facility, workforce development program, and community college for a fraction of what it would cost to run a traditional training. We are already operating in some facilities, and the response has been great. At VFC VR, we are building the future of training. Come join us.
So I want to quickly get into some challenges that we had, other than we figured out the Wi-Fi thing. We're actually in the process of putting Wi-Fi in every single one of our prisons. And so one of the other, I said there were two challenges, big challenges, space. Like we are at every correctional facility across the country, space and lack of officers is the number one thing. So anytime we bring any new programs behind the fence, that's the first thing I ask is, how much space is it going to take and how many officers do I need to do it? That's our biggest issues right now. And the great thing about Vehicles Change, I could put 8 women or men in just a classroom, whatever room, as long as I'm able to draw a little circle around them and they can put a headset on and literally just go like this without touching each other, then you're done, right? So there's no need for an entire automotive program with lifts and cars and that, which we do have, I believe 6 of them out at our men's facility, but this takes away that need and it allows us to give, like Geoff was saying, those equal opportunities for our women behind the fence. one of the things that we also heard from that first cohort that went through, and we'll hear a little at the end of this, I believe Geoff will cue it up here in a little bit. We had CNN come in and talk to the women a little bit. But one of the things during that first cohort that I found that was very touching was one of the women. She's in her late 60s, early 70s, Geoff, I believe it was.
She was in her early 60s. Yes, ma'am.
There we go. She mentioned that this is not something she really had planned on doing, to go out and get a job after release. Even though that's a plus, right? If that happens, what she wanted to do was to be able to find something to do with her male grandchildren, and even female, being able to teach them how to actually do their own oil change, being able to, get a tire up onto a jack, like those type of things, put air into it, things that, some of us might take for granted. Well, I don't know how to change my oil, but that was what she wanted. She just wanted to be able to connect with her grandchildren with a skill that would actually be useful for them, which actually kind of brought me to tears when I heard we had every single one of them do a little testimonial at the graduation. And I think that by far, they all had great stories, but by far that one touched me the most. So kind of like to cue that up there, Geoff, and talk about CNN and how we had them come in.
Absolutely. And so some of the challenges that we have, post challenges that we have, can be easily explained in this video that we have. So we're going to queue up. We actually had an opportunity, blessed the second time to have CNN interview us the second time. This was 15 months after we started our pilot program with MCIW Correctional Facility and DPSCS. And so this is in April 2024, and it kind of shows that not the top challenges during incarceration, but also some of the challenges post-incarceration. So we'll get that video played for you now.
The best part about it for incarcerated people is you get to escape from this place, and it reminds you that there is something outside of here.
Definitely takes you out of here. It's fun.
This is Megan and Tiffany. Both are serving time here at the Maryland Correctional Institution for Women. Tiffany expects to be released this June, Megan next year. But for all of the freedoms beyond the facility's walls, their backgrounds will likely create significant challenges for them, like finding a good-paying job.
Some of us complain about going to work on Mondays and things like that. You really miss just simple things like making your own money.
Both women are part of a program here in Maryland that uses cutting-edge virtual reality training. The goal? To put them on a path towards becoming certified auto technicians.
I feel 100% confident in my abilities.
Trade groups say the industry sees tens of thousands of job openings go unfilled each year.
So when you first put the headset on, it looks just like an automotive shop. You're able to maneuver around the shop, pick up different tools, use the lift, look under the car. It's very realistic.
Whenever we turn it on, we're not where we was. It's real. You got this headset on, it's like you're actually there.
What have you learned in your first week?
I know how to do oil change, so that's not something I ever thought I would be able to do.
I mean, virtual reality, number one, is going to be the way we train the skilled trades in 5 years across the board.
Martin Schwartz is the president of Vehicles for Change, the nonprofit group that helped bring the VR training program to Maryland's correctional facilities in 2023.
This isn't rocket science. It's a matter of getting people a job that leads to a career, and we can keep people out of prison. That first 4 months is vitally important for that individual to be able to stay out of prison. So if they can get a job that's going to pay $16 to $20 an hour, we can change the trajectory of that recidivism rate.
It's dire that we get some type of training.
Sometimes we just need that one program to have faith in us and give us an opportunity and let us take the ball and run with it. I'm just trying to be self-sufficient and be a strong, independent woman.
And I'm excited. I'm excited for it. So I'm excited to be able to go home and use what we have here.
So one of the things that they mentioned was jobs, right? What we looked at that kind of post-release challenges, a few things. We all know there are massive barriers for anybody who is in prison and coming home. And that is not just barriers to jobs and finding employment and good employment. We're not talking just any job. Not to say that, working at McDonald's is not a job that pays pays the bills, but not really in a way. Now we're seeing that with we're all feeling it with the prices that are going up. Those are not the jobs that really keep people out of poverty, that give them a livable wage that they can feed their family. And what we saw with the women was these are the breadwinners. They're coming home as single moms, getting their children back, and they need to be able to pay the bills with a good paying job. And that was another thing that they were talking about. In addition, we looked at all the great work that Vehicles for Change is doing. Transportation, huge barrier. How are you getting to a job if you can't get there? Being able to find childcare. So when we look at the women's specifically, there are more challenges. The men obviously have barriers, but there's a lot of other barriers that we wanted to make sure we're giving them the best opportunities. And that was one of the great things about working with Vehicles for Change is not only did they do that virtual reality behind the fence to give them those certifications, but also we're able to take, if they have a little longer behind the fence, we can take and bus them down, which we actually do with our men at our one pre-lease facility. They don't do the VR I'm going to get to that, but we do bus them down to one of Vehicles for Change's sites where they can actually get the hands-on food training. So the women we're looking at now, how do we get them there too, to just learn beside the men before they're released so they can get the full and even have more potential for making money. I will tell you one of the things that Geoff and Marty did that kind of sold me was one of the first things they said to me was what they hear from employers is that, having these certifications and everything is great. They need someone who's trained and able to fill these jobs. But what they're seeing with women, they pay attention more to detail. They're able to, there's just more, and Geoff, you can expand on this a little bit more about what they said, but they said they feel that the women just kind of give it more their all, when they're on the job and doing that, because there is so much at stake for them, that they do, somewhat of a better job than men. Not saying the men don't do good. Just said that.
To coincide with that, I think what Danielle speaks to specifically is I think they are more entrepreneurial about it.
There you go.
Covered as I think the pathway in the automobile field has been traditionally male laden. And so that's been a traditional pathway that worked well for. But now I think females have learned a way to infiltrate this by starting their own businesses. And then from there, you're starting to see women get into these so it's entrepreneurial and professional or corporate professional as well. And so I tell everybody all the time, prior to this, again, I worked at Enterprise Rent a Car for 25 years. I don't care how skilled of an employee a male is, having a female being a lead and kind of guiding through that process of their car being fixed, I think is just very easy. And I think they're better mechanics. Now, everybody's a good mechanic, but I just think that's what we have seen and what I have noticed.
And Geoff, one of the things that talking about employers that Vehicles for Change does as part of the package, and the very first cohort that we did, and by the way, we're the first state and prison in the nation to bring virtual reality programming behind the fence that leads to actual certification, that is ASE certification, that is a provider that, is something that they look for in jobs, what they want to see, right? So one of the other things, that they were talking to me about was we will help provide that post-release job, working with them to be able to connect them with employers. So not only do they do that kind of train the trainer training with, by the way, we chose 2 officers to do this. We didn't need to hire a teacher or anything. It's really that you go through those modules, it's very self-explanatory. They just were able to get the women into the room, give them the headsets, get them started, and just sit there. And if there's any issues, make sure to troubleshoot with vehicles to change. But we had one of our officers was on first shift, and she was able to do one of the classes during the week, and then the other officers on second shift, so she did the second shift class. So then it only pulled them out of their regular shift once a week for those 3 hours, and that was it. So that was also the way I was able to convince the warden to do it and to allow the officer to be able to do it too. So one of the other really quick points that I want to touch about with post-release is, we are hearing so much more from our population that they want actual training that's going to lead, they're getting something behind the fence, they're getting that support post-release to find that job. Because a lot of the times when we're talking prison systems, yeah, we give them all this stuff while they're inside, but then once they hit that door, that's it. But what Vehicles for Change does is they help get them that job post-release. We have that warm handoff to be able to do that. And they follow them to make sure they're getting back with them to either come and continue training or to get a job. So that was also one good thing that made us, want to work with them no matter what some of those difficulties we had, starting off there.
And then just to kind of bring it all together, what Danielle said, this is our alignment, exactly what Danielle just said. This is kind of what we presented to her to show that we were in alignment with a curriculum that's very much for those in the Maryland area and those familiar with the Maryland education blueprint. It's our blueprint for the blueprint, but it works anywhere. And so we'll go through each step of this phase and kind of walk you through, hey, how you get from MCIW correctional facility to how you get employed. Well, I'm gonna walk you through how that kind of works. So the first step in the process is really being able to understand what a career college or what a career standard is. And our VFC-VR solution is ASE certification. That's the #1 certification. It's the blue ribbon certification given out in the automobile field. And you'll see why that's so important later on. So certainly that's the standard. It's the highest blueprint standard. Next that we have in the section is that we want to make sure, well, how does your curriculum align, or have you switched your curriculum to align with that that standard? And we are VFC, we are an ASE approved skilled trade school. We are a sure bet at training auto mechanics, and we're a sure bet at getting them job placed. And now we're just using software as a service to be able to expedite that process and meet our customers' challenges. So that second burden was met, right? So then the third burden is like, okay, great. Well, now that you're approved to do that, hey, what's your level of assessment? How are you going to be able, so section 3 of the blueprint talks about that assessment. And our assessment is, and that's what Danielle was talking about before, our partnership with HTX Labs. HTX Labs is the software provider of our virtual reality solution. And we learned about them. They partner with the United States Air Force. For the last 4 years, they built a virtual garage, just like you see here. They built a virtual garage for the Air Force in which they put a C-130 plane in the environment, and 60% of the entry-level auto mechanic training of the Air Force is done in the VR headset. And so we felt as though, and the primary 2 reasons why they did that was 1, because they didn't have enough space, and 2, they didn't have enough planes available just to work on. But unintended benefits became, well, it was 10 times more effective. It was 4 times quicker learning. And most importantly, there were 0 injuries in the training. So they really saw an unintended benefit to that. And so we thought, well, heck, if the U.S. Air Force is using them, I think, with their plane, just to learn how to do the basic oil change, tire, and brakes should be something that we can do. And we were able to do that. The learning management system and the content management system is very expensive, but it is very state-of-the-art, and it's why it's such an immersive technology. So for those naysayers out there, and there's probably a lot maybe out there that think that it's not possible for it to happen, it certainly can, and there are very practical reasons why that can happen. So we certainly believe that this LMS and CMS is an absolute, and the assessment tools that come with it are second to none. But here's the proof in the pudding. Number 4 right here is, what's the pathway for the person? Because everybody gets a certification, but are they getting a certification in something that there's a job attached to? And then we're not going to the slide next. The next slide is the eye-opening thing. But the career pathway is ASE certification. We provide and will provide all 10 of the entry-level certifications, whether it be through a virtual reality solution or through our internship program if you're here in our local areas. And as we expand nationally, you can do that as well. But the next step after that is the professional certification, where you have to do actual hours and you have to actually do coursework and continue doing that. And then lastly, at the end, master certification, that is $100,000 benefit, right? And that ASE certification is consistent and it's the same from Alaska to Florida to Maine. So it's a great certification nationally. I know we have a lot of teammates here from all over. I see Fisher Center, Detroit, Michigan to Great Bend, Kansas. So ASE certification is the same in both of those places, right? But here's the proof of the pudding right here. This is the money slide right here. The other problem post-incarceration is not only getting certification and having reputable and equitable certification in the correctional facilities or in any space, but the next slide I'll show you is, are you getting certification in a job where there's a job attached? And you'll see, next slide if we can, it shows you that 12 of the top 15 certifications, these are the top 15 certifications given out in the top 24 states. And as you can see, of those, most of those are 100% supply. So there are certifications given out, but there's no jobs attached to it. And a clear ninth most given out certification is ASE certification, Automotive Service Excellence, and it's only 16% supply. So as much as I want to be vain and think that CNN wanted to come talk to me, that's not. There was a clear business case as to why ASE certification in automotive is the way to go. And so that is a absolute telling sign. So with that being said, Danielle saw, and the folks at MCIW were very futuristic to see, and the state of Maryland, the DPSCS was in the futuristic to see that this happened. And I'm going to give it back to Danielle and let you kind of talk about, like, okay, so now she told you we've had at least 4 cohorts finish. We've had people, so everybody goes, could this really happen? Well, I want her to kind of talk about how it actually has happened, and then we have something that we can show you the proof in the pudding. So back to you, Danielle.
Sure. So that is, those credentials was, you know, a huge selling point. I refuse to put a program in my prisons that is not going to lead to some sort of certification that then will lead to a livable wage post-release. I've had many virtual reality companies come and want to speak, and I do give them that time, but all of them, I think that at least every single one I've talked to, they are a pre-certification or a preparatory. So like you might do virtual reality to prepare to get into an electrical program. So it's the same thing you would get in that electrical program, right? So it's like the whole sell is they can do it while they're sitting on a wait list. I'm like, well, I could, but they're going to get it again once they get on that list. So it's, you know, it's a lot of money to have to spend to lead to nothing. So I want to make sure that we're preparing our population with the most amount of tools that they can have to be able to succeed. What we are seeing, we're working a lot with our Maryland Department of Labor, us and our Maryland longitudinal data systems right now. And we've got some preliminary results on our CTE programs, which helps lend even more credit to this, is that our men and women who only got a GED, or maybe they just came in, you know, with their GED, didn't go through any correctional ed, but that's all they have is a GED or high school diploma. They are getting out and they are having a very hard time finding a job anywhere in that first year after release. And most of them we're seeing are being reincarcerated within 3 years. However, once they actually get then to a career and technical education, whether it's a apprenticeship, automotive, whatever it is, and especially if you combine that with reentry classes like life skills, financial literacy, parenting, those type of things, success at work, we're seeing literally almost a $4,000 to $6,000 increase in pay. And that continues to increase within those 4 quarters in the first year post-release. And then third year, they're still in those sectors and they're still working, which means they're not back in prison. So that is a great sign that this works, that making sure you're having those certifications that actually lead to you, 1, staying out of prison, and 2, getting a job that is allowing you to feed your family and pay your rent and those type of things. So, you know, that's preliminary work, just to give a heads up on a lot of that stuff that's coming soon from us. But without our partners, not just Vehicles for Change, but our reentry partners, our state, I talked about the Maryland Department of Labor, MSDE, our Department of Education, all of our state, our local organizations, community organizations that we connect with for reentry, and then our state organizations that we work with to help support us too. And then the federal side of it, we were just awarded, we found out here 2 weeks ago, the Second Chance Act, the BJA grant. Yes, very excited for that. And part of that not only is going towards us hiring over the 3 years an education specialist. Specifically, their job is going to be to work with people who are currently in an education program to prepare them for post-release. So if they don't get their education while they're incarcerated, to connect them to education post-release, or if they get it while incarcerated, to connect them to jobs post-release. So they're going to work with them both pre and post-release. They will be stationed at a few of our libraries across the state and community colleges to help support them post-release. So it's like a friendly face, right? They'll see them inside and they'll see them afterwards, and they'll help them get through all those barriers. Also, the reason why I'm mentioning this is we got money for Vehicles for Change. Vehicles Change was very generous on our very first 2 cohorts to do it free of charge. Free of charge meaning to us, but they of course had to get grants and stuff to pay for it. But we were like, hey, we need to pitch in here. We've got to put, some money towards this too. So I went out for that grant to make sure we were able not only to keep the program at our women's prison, but also expand to 2 additional prisons, or the virtual reality and everything else that comes with that. So without those, community, state, federal partnerships, we would not be able to do what we do behind the fence at all. And big shout out, of course, I got to mention COABE and the work that we are doing with many of our partners, whether it's NCCER, many of the both local community providers of education, the state organizations, and then the federal partners that we have with the U.S. Department of Ed and U.S. Department of Labor. Without having, massive organization. Well, I say massive, we're a small little group doing massive things, but able to provide you guys with webinars like this, to be able to have those partnerships, to be able to show you what really can happen, not just behind the fence, but in your community adult education, different adult education providers out there, because Vehicles for Change, I'm sure, would be happy to work with you. And you have IET funding that could possibly be used for this also. So Geoff, I'll let you take it away so we can get started with some of our testimonials.
Absolutely. I will second, third, and fourth that Vehicles will Change. We're absolutely willing to work with you all. So just before we get to the end, this is not important, but if you guys see that QR reader right there, all my information is in there, my link, all that stuff. So everything you guys need, that's on there. That's the last time I'll mention that. I just wanted to say, like, all of our stuff is in there. Hear our story. But one thing I like to tell everybody is that vision without action is an absolute hallucination, right? And so it's really easy to talk about a lot of these things. And one thing I know for sure is that there's a lot of places we've been blessed to go to a lot of different conferences. We just came back from the North American Workforce Development Professionals Conference in Arizona at the Youth Symposium. People were gravitated to this nationally everywhere. This is a tremendous solution, not only just for automotive, but I'll tell you, virtual reality, augmented reality, just period, is a absolute game changer for having impact and having quick impact in a very cost-effective way. But we have partnered now, the 6 different partners that we use, and this is all part of our universe. We have 6 different customers that see a benefit to our product. And one of them is obviously correctional facilities. That's what we primarily live off of. We're actually now involved with a lot of sheriff offices. We're down in Newport News Sheriff's Office right now. And down there in Newport News Sheriff's Office, we're able now to have the ASE testing done at their facility. So before the person leaves, the IP leaves, and they leave out with 2 certifications in hand. So that's pretty unique, and that's pretty cool to have that. So correctional facilities is our primary place. We also have community colleges that have their workforce development sections, and we have high school CTE programs. We also believe other nonprofits. We're partnering with a tremendous nonprofit in Washington, D.C. called Martha's Table. And they have community partners from a foundation and also community partners for the jobs. And we kind of help them with that with our liaisons as well. And then dealerships. We are having tremendous success with dealership partners who had the most need for these mechanics. So to see them using our solution not only for mechanics, but also to use it internally for their own training mechanisms is pretty impressive. So for dealerships to see a benefit in like, hey, we see a value in not having to hire trainers to teach people what an oil filter is or what a tire balancer is. They can embed this into their culture. And then now you can save your people to have more impact with your mechanics. And this can be all in, so it's done at a fraction of the cost. So like Danielle had mentioned, you do not have to be a subject matter expert. You're basically like an SAT proctor, and we have 24-hour tech support. We have a very in-depth 126-page facilitator guide. So it's designed to be very easy. And I can tell you that because this guy was not good with technology, and to be the one speaking to you now as a subject matter expert is proof positive that I don't care who you all serve, they can do it. And so that is how it's going to work. But it's easy for me to say that. Of course, we're the people telling you this to make it sound good. Like I said, vision without action is a hallucination. So we want to show you a graduate who, and I don't know if Danielle, if you wanted to introduce, but this is a person that is an epitome of someone who heard about our program primarily from MC. Without us having this partnership and without this VR solution, you wouldn't have the success that you're about to see now. But this is what it's all about. If you want to know what gets me going every day and what this is really all about, this next video will explain it all. So go ahead, Jay, if you can get that up, that would be great.
Well, I first learned about VFC behind the walls, MCIW. Was in class one day, they called me to Center Hall. I thought I was in trouble. I thought I was doomed. They was like, hey, you wanna do virtual reality, changing brakes and all? I said, what? That makes sense. It was like, hey, changing oil and stuff. I was like, what time we do it? They said, yeah, you do it for an hour and a half. From 3 to like 5:30. I said, oh, I got a lot, man. Bet, I want to do it. Let's go. That's where I was at. My experience with VR headset took me out them gates, took me out them walls, made me feel like something. I danced with that robot and I felt like I was probably the best person in the world at that moment. I didn't feel so low. I didn't feel like I was nobody. That I connected with that robot and I took off ever since then. Oh man, virtual reality got me real comfortable. When I got here, I didn't know exactly the socket, but I knew where I was going at with it. I knew what that oil plug looked like. I knew what that filter looked like. I knew what to do when it came from the brakes. Oh, I knew. Oh, it was time to go. I had to shine. And I wasn't gonna let nobody tell me I couldn't get in the program. Oh man, I didn't know what the ASC was before I got the VFC. I got 4 out of 10 in just 3 months, 12 weeks. I beat myself up every day when I failed the first one, but then I had a team behind me to say, hey, it's okay. A lot of people wasn't doing it in 3 months. This is a 6-month program. We did it in 3 months. So that right there pushed me. I kept going, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I ain't gonna turn back. Would I recommend this program? Hell yes. Hell yes. Why not? The people that say you can't do virtual reality because you feel like it's something, man, listen, you crazy. Because guess what? I learned how to change oil in a VFC headset. I learned how to do brakes in a VFC headset. I learned how to balance a tire in a headset. I passed a lot of tests on that headset.
I can remember the first day she first called me on the jail phone and said,
she loved the VR. You know, she was saying herself and the person said, I said, you just gotta find something that can get you feeling like you're home. And she was like, there's nothing here, they just wanna lock us up on me. I said, just keep praying, something's gonna come. So when the VR came, it just brightened her. When I went to go visit her, she was so bright, like you wouldn't even think she was in jail, how the energy she gave me. It was like she came home already from the VR. She was so happy, like, hey, I passed my test report. I learned how to do this, I can come home and show you this. And she was just so excited about the VR program. That's all she was talking about. She was like, when I come home, I'm trying my best to continue on the VR program.
We are you. We are the aunties, we are the spouses, we are the mothers, and everything. Look at us and look at yourself and look at your family. The same way that it helped our family member and helped us is the same way donating, giving, sponsoring, everything will help you, somebody that you know, anything. People donate and give to cancer, this, and so forth. This is something that when you go to sleep at night, you can rest comfortably and know, hey, I did something good today. You gave that homeless man $1, you did something good the same way. You sleep better at night knowing that you're making a difference for yourself, your family, your neighbors, and people like us all.
So I think that is my probably second time watching that video because it makes me tear up. Everyone will tell you I'm a big softie when it comes to my students. Geoff, I want to let you go ahead and just kind of close out for your side of things, and I'll close out, and then we can take some questions.
Yeah, so really, folks, to be here and have the opportunity for a nonprofit who really is just kind of a quote unquote small little local nonprofit here in Halethorpe, Maryland. And if we had a vision and a dream to do this, if we can put this together, there's no excuse for all of us to kind of make sure that we stick to an agenda of getting stuff done, because quite frankly, things need to change now. And it's going to be a lot of things that need to happen quickly. Skilled trades and skilled developments are the wave. I think technical colleges and community colleges are going to be big influencers in that. But this technology is here. Walmart invested $12 million in virtual reality. It is real. We're talking to Tesla and them using it and creating a certification for electronic vehicles. Even though the United States is the slowest to adopt it, we're getting our solutions getting people want us in different. We have different countries. Canada is very much interested in what we're doing. So the world has kind of figured out that the AR, the VR, the extended reality is going to be the way skilled trades are offered. And it's certainly an opportunity for people in the communities we serve and the people we serve to get a skill set and level up into something, whether it's automotive or not, just skill up and level up and using software as a service. But if we can do it and use software as a service to make our deal better and to create revenue for our nonprofit, certainly there's opportunities out there. And people like Danielle find partners, and we have our partnerships as well. So it can definitely happen. But let's make sure we're doing things that are actionable and that are going to achieve the outcomes that you're looking for.
And it kind of, I love how you're talking about kind of the way of the future, right? I actually just heard a little tidbit that Maryland state government, our governor wants our entire fleet, I believe it was 50% to go to electric of state vehicles. So we need people to service those, and our men and women behind the fence who go through our automotive programs are the ones who service our vehicles. So we absolutely need to make sure that we're investing in this technology so that we can actually be able to make state government run, to be able to give these guys the opportunities, and I keep saying guys, but men and women, the opportunities to succeed post-release. And I just want to quickly thank, of course, Coabe and Sharon, our CEO, and Lindsay, thanks for being on here to help out while we transition here to some Q&A. Let's see here. Did you got, I'm just looking through to see if there's any, if you guys have any questions, Lindsay, are they able to come off of, like raise their hands and we can take them off of mute, or is it all through the chat?
Yeah, if they raise their hands, I can promote them, like allow them to talk, and then they'd have to unmute.
Great. So if anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand. We could take you off. I did see one thing. There was a Vehicles for Change in Detroit, Michigan. Will the program return to Detroit?
Yeah, I told her, I told that person, we're absolutely coming to Detroit. It was before my time, but it was a change in ownership with the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
Detroit loved us. I know for sure we're talking with the Ford Motor Company Foundation. They're certainly interested, and we are definitely interested. That meets our mission 100%. So
Yeah.
that'll definitely be one of the 20 places we come to for sure.
Okay. Arlene?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
So I'm in Florida and I am just floored. I can't even believe that this even exists. It's just really, really awesome. I oversee the adult education for males, and I'm wondering why hasn't it been introduced to male prisons?
We just had started off with the pilot doing it at the women's because we felt like that's kind of the most need, was our women's. Plus we were getting a lot of kind of community organizations and stuff saying, how comes we're not making sure we have equity in our programming for like we do our men? But I was talking about the grant that we got. Actually, we'll be moving into 2 of our male prisons, pre-release prisons then with that funding that we just received. So yeah. And I believe, Geoff, weren't you guys going to do stuff with Florida?
Pardon?
I said,
we have it is a sheriff's office down there in Orange County who are significantly interested in that opportunity.
Oh, really?
We were talking to someone in Broward Dade, Department of Corrections, and then we were talking to a technical college down there, and then we have a lot of other people. So yeah, Florida's very tech savvy, and then also, yes, so Florida is picking up on us a lot as well. And again, remember, our concentration was primarily always going to be just kind of local, but it's kind of taking a mind of its own. But yes, Florida is very bullish and very, we talked to, we met with folks from Tallahassee Department of Corrections at a conference at the ACA, American Correctional Association conference, I think. One of the that we were at, and they, as you know, in Tallahassee.
Was that recently? Because I was one in September.
Yeah, this was earlier in 24. I believe March of 2024.
Okay, I was not at that one. Okay.
Yeah, but that was.
And the great thing about the VR, it allows Vehicles for Change to expand out to other states, right? Not just like maybe Pennsylvania, which is right there, or West Virginia, but actually like across the nation that they can come in, get you guys those headsets, do that training, and then be there for that 24, that tech support as needed. Wow. So that's the great thing about that virtual reality portion, right? They don't need to set up a whole shop where you have people go to,
So I would like more information. My computer doesn't really work that well, so I don't know how I could get more information, like contact information.
So we are going to be sending out, I believe, Lindsay, didn't we say that we'll send out some information to everybody who was came, to the event.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
I don't know how the slides and some of the videos and our content.
I don't know how to mute myself now, so can you do it for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. Great
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're right. I see, do you know if VR AR has been used for other forms of vocational training in addition to auto repair?
100%. I will tell you, the folks that nailed it first was HVAC. HVAC has a healthy VR community throughout the United States. And then I would say second would probably be CDL. They're getting there, but I think automotive, we're kind of figuring that out, and we're certainly being bullish with that. I think automotive and HVAC will continue to be the lead with the AR and VR solutions. But welding, we're in a community college, Hartford Community College here in Maryland. They're in their tech program, so they have welding, CDL, and something else, and they're ultimately going to use the virtual option. Part of the reason why they got our headsets and squeezed me on upgrading the headsets is because they know within the next 5 years, all of their skilled trades are going to go into the headset. So does that answer your question?
I'm sorry, Geoff, didn't mean to cut you off, but you also have like the heavy machinery. Like there's those companies that have the chairs where you can learn how to drive, do the CDL or the heavy machinery operator or forklift and stuff like that. The problem with those, though they're great, and you get that certification like for forklift, heavy machine, like that sort of thing, except for behind the fence CDL, we can't let them drive a truck. So like we have to then connect them post-release with to finish it off, right? But they can get everything up until that point. But the problem with a lot of those are, I mean, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get, like we're looking into CDL mobile trailers that would have a CDL simulator inside a trailer that we can take around, right? That's like $250,000 versus you're talking what, Geoff, for a couple of headsets?
Yeah, if you were able to commit, if a student were able to commit 20 hours per week, on one license, you can train 200 people in a year.
Yeah. It's with the virtual reality automotive.
And that's it. And that would be $375 per week.
Okay. Well, we are being told to wrap it up because we have another event coming in on this line at 3 o'clock. But thank you all for coming. And we will definitely be able to get you out some information. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the events. Bye-bye.